Hi friends, today I put together a compilation video of some of the favorite summer DIYs from the past. I hope you enjoyed today's video. So with all that, let's continue on with the video. DIY number 1. So I start off, I had this wood round I got. It's like a 3-pack, I think, from Hobby Lobby. So I'm just I took this little round piece that I had and I'm just tracing it out. And I made it off-centered on purpose. And then I'm just taking my ruler here and I'm just going to make some lines, and I just go around, and I had 6 paints. So not counting the white, because the white is for the middle. But when I got done making my lines, I realized there were 7 areas to paint, not counting the round. So you see me counting there. I erased it, and then I just moved the lines a little bit to just make it to where there was 6 openings to paint. Then I am taking my painter's tape here, and I'm just marking off each section, and then I am going to paint each section with each of those colors that I showed you at the beginning. And I should finish this up real soon. So I started off with my red chalk paint, and I'm just going all around that area, and I'm being really careful when I get to the middle round area. I'm just trying to brush right up to the line. You see me just moving my brush there, just trying to get it all edged up to that spot. And then I just finish it, and I also paint the edges of this as well. And then I go with my purple on the next color, and then I just go along with the other colors. Now, I did see this off of Pinterest. It had different sayings, and I really wanted to make this. I thought this was great. If you don't have a pool, you don't have to say anything about a pool on this. If you want to recreate it, you could always just say welcome or hello summer. There's all kinds of sayings you could say on this other than the pool sign that I put on there. So once they were all painted, I'm just using my Waverly chalk paint in the color white and a very small brush. I'm just going all around the edge, just painting, and then I will use a bigger brush to paint in the middle. That way I don't get the paint on the other colors. And once I have this done, I am going to, once it was dried, I did dry it, and then I'm going to put my decal right on the beach ball here. And after that, I'm going to take it outside, and I sprayed it with my, no, I don't, sorry. I forgot about this part. Okay, so I took my white paint marker, and I am just tracing out the lines in between each of those colors, just giving it some more definition. And then after I go around tracing out each section, then I take it and I just go around the bottom like you see, and just put spurts here. Now again, I'm not an artist, I'm not a painter. I had this pulled up on Pinterest, so that I could get an idea of the different shadowing techniques and stuff that other creators made, because for me, I have no idea when it comes to shading and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going by what I see here. Here I'm just going around with my black marker around that white ball or the middle of the ball. And then I'm just edging out those white lines. And then I took that black marker and just went around and made some squiggly lines. And then I took this hook and I am just going to screw it into the back so that we have a way to hang it. And I did cover it with some, I believe some protective spray coating. It's like spray paint. I can't think of the word of it right now, but I did go over it like 3 or 4 times, and there it is. I love this. It is so much fun to have my outdoors by my pool. So I am going to start off by taking my little screwdriver set and removing that seize the day, because I do want to use that on something else. I don't know when, but I will use it on something else. And then it was not only screwed down, but it was also glued down. So I'm just using my heat gun and my Cricut spatula to remove it. And it removes pretty easy. And then look, they have it painted with the same Seize the Day. I thought that was kind of funny. Anyways, I just turned it over and I painted that with the sandstone. And then I'm going to paint just like a quarter of the top of that word with my ocean color. And I do the front, the sides. I don't do the back because I just paint the whole back with the ocean. But I'm going to do inside the letters, just kind of making it all even about a quarter of the way down. Then I'm taking my peacock color and I'm going right below it about another quarter of the way, maybe even a little bit more of a quarter. I think I go like to the bottom part of the top part of the B. Does that make sense? Anyways, I do the same, going all the way across the word and inside each letter and on the sides. And then once I get that one done, I'm sorry, I thought I'd cut this out a little bit more, but I wanted you to get a good idea of what I was doing. Then I took my lagoon and I am painting the next strip. And then once I was done with that, I took my pool and I'm doing the bottom part of it. And I just do the same thing as I did with all the rest. As you can see on that lagoon, I took some of the, I think it was peacock, and I just kind of brushed through it with my little bit of a brush to make it kind of look like waves. And now I'm just taking some of the pool and I'm going through the letters and just trying to make waves. Now that I felt like was a little bit too much. So I do kind of go in, I add a little bit of the lagoon and then I add a little bit of the ocean just to kind of cover up some of it until I had it the way I liked it. And you guys, I told my husband I really liked this. And then when I started editing, the more I looked at the picture, the more I fell in love with this one. So here I'm just, like I said, using the ocean to kind of go around and cover up some of that I just thought was a little too much. And then I just really darkened it some so it's not as apparent, and I just love it. Anyways, so here I'm taking some wood glue and the bottom of that word is flattened off in different areas. So I'm just using the wood glue to go over the flattened areas. And I was going to do my hot glue and realize, oop, I missed one. So then I'm going to do just on the ends some hot glue. And that's of course for the immediate hold, and the wood glue is for permanent hold. And then after that, I did go in with that pool color and just kind of painted in some wavy lines going down into that bottom part. And now I'm taking my plaster color and I am just stimpling in with my brush, just kind of going in. I wanted it to look like waves. And I'm going all the way around those curved parts. And you guys, I am not a painter at all. I'm not an artist, and my dad is an amazing artist, and I'm not. I didn't get those genes, but I was so proud of myself. I think it's just from watching other people. Connie, who's on this playlist, she's an amazing painter, and Sarah with Jujubee DIY, she's an amazing painter, and I think I learned tips from them. I don't know, but so here I'm just trying to make some more little bit of waves. Then I painted in some of my sandstone color into that white just to make it look like there was some sand mixed in with the water. And then I took some seashells here and I'm going to hot glue them onto my base. And I absolutely love how this came out. I was so impressed with my own painting for myself, but I love it. I hope you do too. You'll have to let me know in the comment box below. Okay, DIY number 3. So I'm going to start off by, of course, removing the hanger, and then I'm going to remove the words that are on the front or anything that is raised on the front. And then I also remove whatever paper on the front has the glitter on it. And honestly, I got most of that paper off because it just came off really easy. So then I'm using some tops of some paint stir sticks to attach those two signs together. And I'm attaching them on the front of those signs, as you can tell, because we're going to paint and use the back. So I'm just using hot glue and wood glue to attach those sticks. And then I painted it with my plaster. And here I am just going to mark off or tape off a section that I'm going to paint blue. And so I'm just using some painter's tape here. I marked it. It was about 5 inches across and about 3 inches down. And then after that, I took my English Navy by Apple Barrel and I painted that section. And then once it was dry, I took some more painter's tape here and I am just going to make some stripes. And so I'm just using a little piece there to, as a spacer. That's the word I was looking for, to use as a spacer while I make my stripes. And I just put that down and then add some more tape. And I did that all the way down until I had it taped off. And then I started off with my white. And then you'll see I forgot to tape that top right part where the New England area is. As I was painting, I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to tape that off. But I do go and tape it off and then I paint that section there as well. And then once the white was all dry, I put some new tape over the white and I'm just painting the rest of the stripes red just so that it all looks like an American flag on the US. And what I really liked about this wood piece is that the boundaries of all the states are kind of engraved in it. So even though it's painted, you can still see a shadow of the outline. And I really like that. So then after it was all dry, I took my wood glue and my hot glue and I'm just putting it all around the back. And then I am going to attach it. And I got hot glue on my arm there. I don't know how I did it. It was burning me there. But anyways, I took my saying and I am just putting it on the big sign there. And it says there's no place like home. And then after I have this all attached on there, I realized when I was doing the top one that the apostrophe, I don't know what happened to the apostrophe. So I had to make another apostrophe. So I did do that. But anyways, I had created some stars as well on my Cricut and I am just placing those on the blue area. And it took me a bit. They didn't want to stick for some reason, but I got them to stick probably because I was using, I'm pretty sure this was Dollar Tree vinyl. And then after that, I just said, okay, I want to make it look a little more rustic. So I took my antique wax and I just start brushing all over the sign and then using my napkin to just kind of wipe off the excess and smear it into the areas, the little crevices that were hard to get to with my little waxing brush. Once it was all done, I did use a smaller brush and did a little bit on the USA sign as well. But then I took some half beads and I did the same thing with the wax. And then I am just adding them onto the sides of the board. And then I decided to cover the board, of course, the back, because I didn't want to see it. And I'm adding a hanger, but my screws were a little too thick or too long for this. So I'm just adding another paint stir stick piece to the back. And I'm just measuring the center and where I want to put my screws, and then I take my husband's little drill and I'm just going to drill in the screws. And that's all there is for this one. Super easy, and I absolutely love this. I think it just turned out beautiful. You have to let me know what you think about it in the description box below. No, not description, comment box. I always say that. Oh my goodness. DIY number 4. I'm going to start off by laying them out on top of each other. So I took 2, laid them on top of each other with the ears offsetting or next to each other, I guess you could say. I took some zip ties and I started tying them in place, and then I continued to add the wreath forms on top. Now, I saw this last year. Someone posted a picture. I don't even know where. I just remember seeing a picture of them using these wreath forms to make a flower. And so when Easter rolled around, or when they started bringing out the Easter DIY or decor at Dollar Tree, I knew I wanted to get some of these, but I couldn't remember what for. And then I never got any. And so a week before Easter, I went into one of the Dollar Trees and they had a whole bunch of these. So I grabbed them because I remembered I saw someone recently post a picture. Now I'll have a link to the picture that I saw on Pinterest, but I have no idea who created this. They were just pictures that people took of screenshots. So if you know who was the original creator, let me know. I'd love to give them kudos for this because I just think this is such a wonderful idea. So I'm going to, after I had that all done, I took my wreath form and some paper and I'm just tracing out a template. Now, right there, I am tracing on the inside of the ear, but I ended up having to redo it and I traced on the outside of the ear. And then when I cut it out, I actually didn't use this piece either because it was too small. So I cut it a little bit larger than the template because I wanted to make sure that it covered the back of the ear. So after I had that all cut out, I am taking my macrame cord and I'm taking some hot glue and I'm gluing it to itself, wrapping it around the bottom of the round middle part. And then I'm just going to start wrapping. And I just wrap all the way around. And if you want to create this, guys, let me just warn you, make sure you have a movie or two to watch because this took forever for me to do. In fact, my shoulders and arms were so tired afterwards, but I think it's well worth it because I just love the way this came out. And, you could use jute cord, you could use fluffy ribbon, yarn. You could even use chunky yarn. That might go faster as far as wrapping it if it's thicker or bigger. Same with the jute rope. If you use jute rope, it might go faster as well because it's wider. So once I got to my end, I just hot glued the end there and then I started over. Once that was all done, I took some more and I just start wrapping the ears. And I actually think the ear part was worse because there's 12 ears there. And so, the round part wasn't as bad. It was the ears that was the worst. So I just hot glued it together. Actually, I think I started to hot glue it just to the round middle part and then just started wrapping. Sorry, this is out of frame. I'll move it here in just a moment. But you guys, this is so big. I actually was knocking right there. I'm moving stuff around so I can fit this so that you can see it, but I did end up knocking all my paintbrushes over. Luckily, it wasn't my paintbrushes that were soaking in water. It was just my unused paintbrushes, but I had to go pick them all up. Anyway, so once I got done, I got to the end and then I just hot glued it to the back of the wreath form there and then just continued on my way with all the rest of the ears. And I'll show you here how I hot glued it. I'm just going to come to the end and trim it off. It's actually better to hot glue it before you trim it off. I had a few issues where I kind of burnt my fingers. So once that was all done, I took my burlap and I start hot gluing it. So I hot glue the end of the burlap to the middle piece. And then I just started putting hot glue along the back of the ears and just continue to add my burlap to it. Now, look at my mess, you guys. This was so messy, not only because for some reason my hot glue gun is starting to get tons of glue webs, which I hate. It's never had so much webbing before, but it was probably just because I was so annoyed by all of this. But anyways, and then I trimmed off the excess just like you see there. And this is what caused the mess. I mean, I need to vacuum my floor. It's just a disaster after all of that. Then I took one of these metal bees from Dollar Tree. I painted it yellow. I painted the wings white and then I did the trim around the yellow or the bee with the black as you see there. And then I'm taking my black marker here and I'm just doing some little loopy lines just to kind of give those wings a little animation or bring them to life a little bit. Then I decided to draw a face. I probably should have not drawn the face because I think it makes it look a little cartoonish, but I mean, I think it's cute. not quite the look I was going for, but it is what it is. So I guess I could always paint over it if I wanted to. But anyways, I'm just going to add 2 little eyes and a smile. That's all. I added a little jute bow. Add some E6000 to the back of my bee, and then of course going to put some hot glue around that for the immediate hold. Going to glue it right to the front of my flower there, and then I'm going to turn it around and add some jute cord for a hanger. And I love this. This is just, it's massive, it's huge, and it is beautiful. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. DIY number 5. So for this DIY, I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. I'm going to take my chalk paint in the color lacquer. Took me a minute to find the word there. And then my wood heart I got from Dollar Tree. And this paper that I got from this paper pack last year from Hobby Lobby. And I love that paper pack. And then I used assorted ribbon, but I only used that really big one. I used different ribbon, not just that one, or those. Anyways, I'm going to start off by taking this paper. I had used some of it previously, and I'm just trimming it down to the size that I'm going to need. And then I am just going to trace it out. I'm just making sure the end of that top part of the heart is matching the end of the paper. Then I'm going to trace it out, and then I am going to cut it out. After I cut it out, I am going to paint that middle strip red. I'm going to paint the front, the back, the little slots underneath it, and then that bottom triangle. And then I'm going to paint the third strip there white, and then the top one I'm going to paint the edges with my English navy blue. If you're new here, I'm just saying welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by today. If you like what you see and you like home decor on a budget, holiday decor, thrift flips, gift ideas, then I would invite you to hit that red subscribe button and become part of our little YouTube family. I would love to have you join us, and then make sure in the comment box below you let me know you're new here. I'd love to get to know you. And all of you guys, if you like today's video, don't forget to give me that thumbs up and comment, because you all know that helps my channel grow. So as you see there, I just added some Mod Podge to the top there, and I am just adding my paper there. Then I took some antique wax and a baby wipe, and I'm just smearing it through just to darken it up and to give it more of that rustic look, which I absolutely love. And I really love the rustic vintage 4th of July look. But if you don't like it, you don't have to do this part. You can just keep it the regular red, white, and blue, which is very pretty as well. But this is just kind of going to match all the decor that I have for my home. So after I do this, and I don't do the back, I just do the front. I'm doing the little slits. I even go over the paper with it too, because I just wanted to give it all that vintage look. Then I went with my Mod Podge after I let it dry for a little bit, and I'm just putting the layer all over my whole heart. And I am getting to the bottom of that jar, and it had all kinds of clumps everywhere. Oh, so I'm glad I'm done. I used it all up. Actually, I think I had a little bit left. I wasn't going to deal with those clumps anymore. So here I'm just taking some assorted ribbons, and I'm cutting them in 6-inch strips. And I think I really end up having more like 3 or 4 strips of each color. And then I took that big thing of ribbon that you see, the tan there with the stars. I actually just cut those in strips because it was really wide. But I'm just going through and hot gluing these strips all to the bottom, just kind of coordinating the different, or offsetting the different colors, and just kind of going with, I don't know, what I felt like looked good. And then after that, I'm just taking this ribbon. I got this from Hobby Lobby last year. I absolutely love it. And I haven't even seen it there this year. I don't know. I haven't looked through all of the ribbons, but I love this ribbon. I think it's so pretty. But I'm just making a bow. I'm making 2 bows here, and I'm just doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up in the middle, and then tying some jute string around the middle of it. And I think I stopped there because I was watching something on TV. That got my attention. So here, just tying that jute string, and then I'm going to trim up those tails and dovetail them. And then once I have them all dovetailed, I'm just going to hot glue them, or hot glue that to the top to the bottom of that heart, right above where all of those ribbons lay. Now, if you don't have one of these hearts, that's okay. You could do it on a star. It would be really cute on a star as well. So here I'm just taking some of the matching ribbon and I'm just making a hanger and hot gluing it right above where those holes were. And there it is. I love it. I really love this. You'll have to let me know what you think about this one as well in the comment box below. Okay, DIY number 6. Taking the backing off of both of those frames and removing the insides from them. I'm going to keep that inside piece there and I'm going to use it as a template, and I'm going to lay it behind my paper and trace it out, and then I will cut it out. And I do cut out 2 of these, one for each of the frames. Now you can use, you know, if you don't have this paper pack and you want to recreate this, you could use any kind of paper that has a bee theme or bee coloring. It doesn't have to be exactly that paper. Then I put the paper inside the frame and I closed the backing all up. And I did remove the little stands because we're not going to need them. Then I am marking, that wood piece was just a little bit longer, so I'm marking the end of the frames to it, and then I took it out and cut it with my miter saw. If you don't have a miter saw, you can use like a little miter box saw if you have one of those. Then I took my little mini screwdrivers and I unscrewed 2 of the bottom clips because it was going to stick in the way. And then I took my E6000 and hot glue, and I'm going to glue it to the back of that frame. And see those little, what do they call them? The little tabs would have been in the way, and that wood piece would not have connected all the way to my frame. So that's why I took them off. Once I had both of those on there, I took my jumbo craft sticks and I'm just measuring where I want to cut them. And then I cut off the rounded edges, just like you see me doing here with my pencil or with my scissors. Yes, I'm going to cut with my pencil. And then once that was completed, I took that, I'm just making sure it was the right length, and I am marking my popsicle or my craft sticks with that one that was cut. I'm just using my pencil to mark where to cut, and I cut 14 of those. After they were all cut, I am going to hot glue them on. So this is the bottom part on one side, and I'm just adding hot glue to the frame, and then I'm just going to add the jumbo craft sticks, and I'm just going to go up. Now I do 5 up that row, and then I turn it just like that, and I take 2 more and go up this area. I think it was just 2. I don't think I did 3. I think I just did 2. Maybe I did 3. I think I just did 2 because I know I only cut out 14. So once I had them all hot glued on there, I painted, as you can see, I taped off the glass because I don't trust myself when I paint. And I painted the whole thing with my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. Then I took 2 of these bee ornaments. I took the chalkboard side and, or did I paint it? No, I think it's I don't know. Either way, I am making yellow stripes on it. And then I went around and made some little polka dots on the wings. Now, I wasn't happy with those yellow stripes, so I did end up going with some black paint and kind of trimming it a little bit, making it a little bit more even, and then made the stripes a little smaller as well. And you'll see it in the reveal. It doesn't show it there. Once they were dry, I hot glued them to the middle of my frame here, and then I just made 2 little shoestring jute bows, and I'm going to hot glue them right where that little hole is. Then I took some floral foam, added some hot glue on the bottom, and added it to the bottom of my little planter box here. And I just started adding flowers. I had daisies from Dollar Tree. I don't know what those other flower things were called. Those were in my stash. I've had them forever. I thought I would use them, and I just filled it up with some different flowers that I had. Then I took one of these little hexagon wood pieces that I had, and I painted it with my maize chalk paint. Once they were dry, I created this saying with my Cricut, and it just says "Bees welcome here." And I'm just going to add them to my sign here. I'm going to take one of these beads and glue it onto the top, and there it is. I really love how this came out. It is so pretty and so fun. I hope you enjoy it as well. Let me know in the comment box below. Okay, here's DIY number 7. So I started off by taking my heat gun and just setting it on that little top piece there and removing it once the glue lightened up or let up. Then I painted that banner sign with the white. The outside of the heart is red, I think, and then the middle is blue. And then while those were drying, I took my Mod Podge. Actually, I guess it was already dry. I am just going over that banner sign with the Mod Podge, and then I let it dry. Once it was dry, I took my napkin here, and I'm just going to cut. Well, actually, it was drying while I did this, but I was cutting off the red and white stripes from that napkin. And then I took my decal here, and I'm just laying it onto my heart, and it says Land That I Love. I'm putting the love there to make sure I have a good spacing here. But if you don't have a Cricut, you could always use stickers or rub-on transfers. You could even use wood letters or like Scrabble tiles. You could do a lot of things if you want to recreate this. Stencils is another way. This is where I kind of measured out where I needed to cut down that napkin. And then I took the red and white stripes here, and I am just going to lay it on top of that napkin, and then I'm going to fold it so I have a crease so I know where to cut that napkin. And then after that, I'm just going to cut that piece off. But boy, was I having a heck of a time with my fan going. It kept blowing my napkin everywhere. Made it a little difficult, but I got it to work. So here I lay it down on my sign, and I'm just getting that red and white striped piece all situated, and then I cover it with my parchment paper, just the same kind of parchment paper you use in your kitchen. I'm using my mini press here to go over my napkin so it reactivates the Mod Podge so the napkin sticks to it. If you don't have one of these mini heat presses, you can use an iron as long as you don't have it on steam. And then I'm just going to trim off all the excess of the napkin that was on the bottom. And then I'm just going back over it again with my Mod Podge. This will help protect the napkin so that it doesn't rip. And then I take once it was dry, I took my little my little finger sander here, and I'm just going around and sanding off any of the extra napkin that might be on my sign here. When that was done, I took the little strip that goes on the top of this sign. I'm putting some wood glue on it and then a little hot glue on the ends, and I'm just going to lay it back onto the top. Then I decided to take my stapler and add some staples to the back of it so that it holds that little piece in place. That piece is not going anywhere. Then I took some E6000 and put it all around the middle of my heart, and then I'm just going around with my hot glue along the edge, and that way I have the immediate hold and permanent hold there. And I'm just going to lay it right there. And then I took a whole bunch of these different ribbons. I cut them down to 4 or 5 inches, and then I am just doing a messy bow. Once I had them all laid out, I am tying them with some jute twine, as you see me doing right here. And then after that, I am going to fluff it, trim off the twine, and then hot glue it in place. Then I took some of these beads. I got these off of Amazon. They are a patriotic bead, and I added a red, a white, a blue, and then it had some flag beads. So I added 2 of the flag beads and then another red, white, and blue. Then I'm just going to tie knots on the very ends of this twine, and then I am going to use my stapler again to staple those in place. And after that, I'm going to, if you don't have a stapler, you could always just hot glue it. But I just took some shipping paper here and covered the back. I'm using the hot glue and the shipping paper. That way we have a nice looking back. And there it is. I really love how this came out. I love this. It's my favorite of today. But you have to let me know what you think about this one in the comment box below. DIY number 8. So this is super easy, guys. I'm going to just start off by hot gluing this rope. I'm just hot gluing the end there. But I'm going to just start using my hot glue and wrapping it around just like you see me doing here. Now right there, I don't know what I was doing. I was off of the end of the glass there, and I thought, why am I so off of here? So I started bringing it down. I did fix it later. I added just some jute twine to it to kind of cover that bare spot, but I don't know what I was doing. Anyways, I finished that part and I just went on to the next row and I just kept going all the way up. And for some reason, I felt like you needed to see a whole bunch of this, which you probably don't need to see. But yeah, you just hot glue and wrap, hot glue and wrap. That's all you have to do. When I got to the end, they always have tape on the ends of the rope, so I do just trim it off because you don't want to really see that tape there. So here I just got to the top here, and you'll see me just hot gluing all the way to the top because you know we all need to know how to do this. There was still a little bare spot there, and I just took some jute twine instead of the rope because I thought the rope would be too much. And I just went in and just filled out the little bare area on the top and then on that little part on the bottom too, where I started out going crooked. And then after I have that all done, I did take my lighter and fuzz it, but I couldn't really show you because I'm right under my ceiling fan and it wouldn't light. So I took that little bottle there and traced it out to make a circle. And then I'm taking my ink chalk paint and just painting in the middle of my skep, I think is what you call it, skep. Anyways, then I took some more of this jute twine and I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around my black hole. It's supposed to look like a hole. And because I'm using the twine and not the rope, I decided that it wasn't very thick. So I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around on top of the twine that I already hot glued down, just like you see. And I just go all the way around, and that just kind of brings it out a little bit more, brings it to life a little bit more. And once I have that all completed, oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. I am going to take some of these bees. Now these I got from Hobby Lobby, 40% off. I did not like the little sticker on them and they came right off, which kind of makes you worried about how they work. But anyways, I hot glued two of these bees onto my little skep. And then I just started filling them with some flowers that I have in my stash from Dollar Tree. Actually, I think the daisies might have come from Walmart, but everything else was from Dollar Tree. And after I have that all filled, I decided it needed a little bit of a bow. I'm going to add that bow, and then after that, I took some hot glue, glitter glue, gold color, and I'm just going to make it look like honey coming out of the little hole. And there it is. I love it. I just think it is so fun and festive for the summertime. Let me know what you think about this one as well. Okay, DIY number 9. So I started off by taking the decal that I want to use, or the transfer, and I'm using my painter's tape here to lay out so I can paint the 3 sections. And I'm just making sure my transfer is where I'm going to want it. And then I lay down my tape, and then I just use my measuring, my ruler to make sure that the tape was even. I was going to paint the top with the red, the middle with the white, and the bottom with the blue, but I don't know what I was thinking, because when I got done, I realized, oh my word, I did the blue instead of the red on top. But that's okay. And then I also painted the very top with Silver Lining by Waverly. I started off by taking my silk screen adhesive transfer from Chalk Couture, and I'm fuzzing that. And the reason why we do that is so that it doesn't pull up the tape, or sorry, the paint. I did that last time when we pull up these transfers. So once I had them laid in place, I'm taking my Shimmer Harvest and a squeegee, and I'm just going over and filling in that silk screen. And oh my goodness, I love the way this transfer turns out with that gold and the bird, the eagle. I think it's beautiful. So I'm just gonna remove my transfer there. I set it aside because I knew this was going to be really quick, and I quickly went over Home of the Brave with that same color, and then I'm going to pull up my transfer, and then I went and washed them immediately. You want to wash them so that the paste doesn't dry on the silk screen. After that, I took these window clings here, and I am just fussy cutting all around the fireworks. The reason being is because I think that when you leave the extra plastic around, it just looks more tacky. It looks nicer when you cut around all that excess vinyl. It looks a little more realistic is what I'm looking for. So then I just added Mod Podge to that blue part, and then I'm just going to add my fireworks here, just like you see. And this is why I wanted to hit red, because it would have came out a little bit more, I think, but it is what it is. Oh well. And then after I had those all on there, I am taking the Mod Podge and just going over it to help seal it and keep it protected and keep it on there. After that was all done, and once it was dry, I'm taking some rickrack. I took white and I put it above the blue. I took blue and put it above the white. And then I'm taking red and putting it above the red. And I'm just hot gluing it to the back. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue in the middle here to tack down the rickrack. And then I'll hot glue it to the back again. And you guys, I love this. Even though I did the wrong colors on the wrong spots, I still love the way this came out. So then I took this ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and I cut down two that were the same size. I don't know what sizes they were. I didn't measure them. And then one that was smaller. And I'm just hot gluing them end to end, just like you see me doing here. And I'm not sure about this bow, you guys. I'm still kind of wondering if I like this, but we'll see. So I crisscrossed the two longer ones, and then I just put the smaller one right in the middle. And then I am just kind of fluffing it and scrunching the middle of these bows as much as I can, and then I'm using some twine to cinch it in the middle here, just like you see. And then after that, I'm going to take some more of this ribbon and fold it in half, and then fold it in half widthwise. I don't know. Just watch what I do. It's probably easier than me trying to explain it. Then I tie some more of that twine around it to hold it in place. And then I'm just going to trim off that twine and dovetail the ends. And then I'm going to use a zip tie. So I'm going through the hanger. I'm sorry, this is out of frame. And then I'm just going to wrap that zip tie around the bow, tighten it up real well. And once I have that all done, I'm going to cut off that excess, save it, because you might make flowers out of it or something else. I took a wood star, and I used that Starlight Gold paint and painted it with it. And then I'm just going to hot glue this on top of that zip tie just to help cover it up. And that's all there was for this one. It's super easy. You have to let me know what you think about the bow. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe it looks kind of funny. But anyways, I still love the way this came out. I love that eagle. It is so beautiful. And if you're interested in all about Chalk Couture, I am a designer. You can always reach out. DIY number 10. So I started off by putting those wood planks together and then adding some craft sticks on the back with wood glue and hot glue to keep them all one cohesive sign. Then I went over with my antique wax, and I accidentally got a little bit too much on there, so I'm just brushing away trying to get as much of it soaked in as possible. And then I just started smearing it all with my paper towel to get it all rubbed in, and I made sure to do all the edges. I did not do the back. I may go back and do that back, but yeah. I just did the front and the sides. Then I decided to add some of this hazelnut paint, and I'm just using a chip brush here that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm just going over it and using the agave as well. And I'm just blending it all in until I had the desired effect. And I love how this came together because it just makes it look so rustic. I love that agave color anyways. Then I don't know why I did this, you guys, but I watered down my agave paint as well. And because I'm going to paint my jar with it because I thought it would give me a translucent color. Maybe I should have watered it down a little bit more. I love the way it came out because it is light, but it's not exactly what I was looking for. And when I took the pictures of it, I thought, you know what? I probably should have done a little dry brushing with that hazelnut on it too. I think it would have gave it a little bit more definition or character. So I might still go back and do that. But anyways, I just love this color. So once that was all painted, I set it aside to dry. I took my decal and I'm going to just place it right on top of my boards here. And then once I have this off a lot of times the decals, the Cricut vinyl doesn't want to stick very well on the wax, so you kind of have to work with it. Then my husband went and drilled 2 holes for me and in my sign here, and I'm just taking a zip tie and I'm gonna pull it through and have it hold my jar. So I'm just poking it through and then placing my jar in place and tightening it. Once I had it all tight, took a little bit here to get it all tight. Then I'm going to take a little bit of hot glue and just kind of hot glue the bottom of that jar to the board just so it's not moving around. I also took some twine here and I'm just going to wrap it around the rim of that jar and then I will tie a bow. And then I'm going to also use some more of this twine to make a hanger. Now, I didn't think about this, and when I went to go hang it to take pictures, of course it's side heavy, right? Because of that jar. So, I would suggest, I'm going to go back and change this. I'm going to take my hanger off and I'm going to add a couple of eye hooks on the top of this sign and then hang it that way. A dab of hot glue there and hold that jar down. Then I'm going to take some twine, tie some knots on the end and glue them in for a hanger, and there it is. I love how this turned out. This was so pretty and many of you loved this one too. Okay, DIY number 11. So I started off by laying those 2 wood planks together side by side, and I'm just going to connect them by using 6 of my giant craft sticks using wood glue and hot glue and connecting the 2 to make 1. Then I put my house where I wanted it, and I just drew a line where I want the waves and the shore to meet. And then I took that sandstone and I am just painting where the sand is going to be. After that, I took some night sky. I decided to try and make this for the sky, but I just thought it was way too dark. So then I took my ocean and I just went over that, and then I went over the ocean with some pool, and I did not let them dry in between. I am just using my paintbrush to just kind of mix the colors in. Then I went again with my ocean and I'm just going below that to make the ocean. So I make a section here with this, and then I'm going to add a section of peacock. Now you guys, I am not a painter. I do not know how to do this kinds of stuff. I just like to look at pictures or videos and try to figure it out, and I really do love the way this came out. After that, I took lagoon and I put in some lagoon, and then I am just going to cover the rest of that unpainted part with the lagoon. And as you can see, I'm kind of mixing it here with the peacock and just kind of making some swirls with my brush, just to make it kind of look like there's some movement. Then I went again with the peacock above that and did the same thing and just kind of mixed it in with the lagoon. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the ocean, where I'm going through and just kind of swirling and mixing it all just to give it some texture, some movement. I don't know, to blend it together. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a painter. And then I took pool and I'm just going along the edge here of where the shore and the water meet. And then I took my white in a small brush and I'm just dabbing it on to make it look like the waves. And then I did it again where the pool and the lagoon meet, although I shouldn't have done the whole thing. I think I should have just done it in bits. It would have looked more like, you know, parts of it roaring, with the waves. I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, I also tried to do some waves around here. Now, I didn't think these turned out as good, but some of it I did have to paint over because when I lay my decals down, it was hard to read the decal because the whites were clashing. Yeah. Anyways, then after that, I took my heat gun here and I removed that top piece from my sign. I removed the paper, but I did paint the back of it with my agave. After I painted my or after it was dry, I took this roof piece and I'm using wood glue and hot glue and I'm going to connect it back on to my house. After that, I am going to use some more wood glue all around the back of the middle part of the house, and then I'm going to go along the edge with my hot glue to connect this to my sign. Now, I also drew in some windows with a white marker, but I ended up not liking it. And then I took a wood dolphin from Dollar Tree and painted it with mineral and had hot glued that on my house. I don't know what happened to the footage there for that. Anyways, I took my decal here and I'm just laying it down. And as you can see, that white wave was really blocking the house. So I did go in and paint that. And then I added the rest of it. And as you can see, I painted that and it looks much better. I took one of these little domino pieces from Dollar Tree and I'm going to use my antique wax all over it. And then I'm going to hot glue it over the door. This is the new door. And then I had found some tops of some of the giant craft sticks that had already had the wax on it that was in my stash, and I just thought, and it fit perfectly over those windows, so I just hot glued them over, and I think that looks much better. Then I took my white marker from Dollar Tree and I just drew out some window panes, and here I'm just coloring in some like lacy curtains, and then I also made a window on the door as well. I'm just gonna take one of these little fence pieces. This came from Walmart at Christmas time. I just cut them down and glued them onto my house. And then I'm just going to take some small little shells here, small and bigger shells, add them to the bottom. Then I just took some twine, tied knots on the ends, glued them on the back, and there it is. I love this. Of course, this is the only beach house I can afford, and I love how it turned out. I hope you did as well. Okay, DIY number 12. So I'm going to start off by marking, I think I did 3.5 and 8.5, something like that. I'm inches from the top and the bottom, or from the top. And then I'm taking my square ruler here and I am just making my lines. And then I'm going to tape it off with some painter's tape. And I am going to paint that middle part with my Waverly chalk paint in the color white. And then once it was all dried, I moved the tape and painted the top and the bottom part with that maize color. After everything was dry, I took my decal here and I'm just making sure it's even where it needs to be. And I am going to place it right there in the middle in the white section. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to take that burlap. I cut it down to the size I needed, and I'm just going to hot glue it all along the bottom part of my wood round, and just making sure I pull so that it's tight. And then once I was done hot gluing on the front, I just turned it around and I am going to hot glue it to the back. And then I took some of these little bamboo reed sticks that I get off of Amazon, and I am cutting them down to fit. And then I painted them with my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. And then once they were all dry, I took my hot glue and I am just going to glue them in place. And you guys, I think out of all of these that I made, this one is my very favorite of all these projects. So after that, I took some burlap here and I didn't measure it, guys. It was maybe 8-10 inches, but I just folded it in half like that and put my fingers in the middle and scrunched it up. you'll see it again, I think. Then I took some of these ribbons. These were cut down to, oh my goodness, I think 6 inches. I'm dovetailing the ends of them. And then I scrunched up that burlap to look like a bow again. And then I'm taking the buffalo check, and I struggled getting it in between my fingers. So I'm trying to scrunch it and have it at a diagonal. And then I'm going to put the next one at an opposite diagonal and just scrunching it in between my fingers. Then I'm taking the yellow and scrunching it and having it go horizontal. And then I don't know what I was doing. I'm going to take the other yellow, and I'm just kind of doing that again, but at a little bit more of an angle. And then I'm going to add that last burlap one on the top, just for a little extra texture. And then after that, I'm taking some twine and tying it all together. This is a different bow I watched. Oh, if I can remember, I'll try and have the link to the bow tutorial that I watched to do that. So after I had that bow all put together, I took some eucalyptus, some boxwood greenery, and I'm just putting them together like you see there. And then I'm taking some sunflowers. The sunflowers came from Dollar Tree. I don't know where I got the eucalyptus, but of course the boxwood comes from Walmart. I put them all together, and then I'm using a zip tie to tie them all together. Now, if I would have been thinking ahead of time, I would have added my bow to this as well. But after I got it all tied, I'm like, ugh, I should have added my bow. But anyways, that's okay. I can still make it work. So after I have everything placed where it's needed, I tighten that zip tie, and then I cut off the excess. Then I remembered before I put everything on to put holes. So I used my crocodile to put some holes for the hangers. And then I decided to use some of these zip ties to tie it. I went through those holes, and I am attaching the greenery with those zip ties. And then I will trim them off just like I did on the florals there. The bow, and I'm going to put inside that zip tie, tighten it all up, and then I'm going to glue a little bee to the middle of that, and there it is. I love how this came out. It is just so pretty and so fun, and of course I love bees, so okay, DIY number 13. So I'm going to start off by painting the tray with my white color there. And then after that, I cut out the different images that I wanted, and I laid them all out to where I wanted them placed. And then I removed the backing, laid this one down, and I'm using, it comes with a little acrylic rubber thing. I don't know what you call it. It's to rub it. Once I was done rubbing, I just start lifting that clear sheet, and then if I saw anything starting to pull up, I would just place it back down, rub a little bit more, and then keep pulling. And you guys, this really was pretty fast. I mean, I probably rubbed more than I really needed to, but I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to pull up. But it works really nicely. And I think this is my second time of using an IOD transfer. And their transfers are beautiful, although I do know they are a little expensive. But once I was done with that, I took some of the maize color. I decided there was too much white, so I went over the edge part of my tray and painted it with my maize. After it was all dry, I took my varnish by Waverly, and I'm just going over the rub-on transfers here. Now, I do this to protect the transfers so there's no rubbing off or anything like that. And I don't believe this is food safe, so my tray is for decorative purposes only, not going to put any kind of food on it. So if you ever use the varnish, just be aware of that. I'm just going to take some handles that I got from Amazon, and I'm just going to screw them into each side of my tray. And there it is. I love it. It's beautiful for summer decor. It would look great in a kitchen. I just love it. I hope you do too. Let me know in the comment box below. Okay, DIY number 14. So I laid them together. I kept a little bit of a space in between because I wanted it to kind of match with the space that's in the front of those. And I added wood glue and a hot glue to my craft stick. Now, I should have probably done it a little bit differently because when I went to go move it, the area that had the wood glue, of course, wasn't adhered yet and it kept moving on me. So I had to be really careful and move it. And then I sat something on top of it to keep it until it cured. But I filled in those holes with some spackling, and then I'm just going over this sign with my antique wax, and I'm just going to brush it all on, and then I'm going to wipe it off with some paper towel. Then after that was all done, I took my tumbling tower blocks and I use the antique wax on them as well. Now I ended up using 14 of those blocks, and you'll see why in a little bit. So after that, and after this sign was ready, I took my crimson color and I'm very carefully going around the edge because I didn't want to tape everything off. And I'm just painting the first one and the fourth one red here. And I have to tell you guys, when I was doing these yesterday, I was so tired, and I don't know, everything just felt like it was taking forever, and I felt like I was just like a zombie. But anyways, I got through it. So I took my Admiral Blue here and I'm painting the third and the last little strip here with that. And I had gotten too much paint on that first one there. And so here I'm just trying to use it all up and get it over to the other side. But once I had that done, I ended up not painting the other ones white. I thought, why am I going to paint it? They're pretty much white anyways, and I'm going to distress it. So I left them the same. And then I took my antique wax here and I started distressing just around the edges. And if you see, there was some red paint that still wasn't dry, and it started smearing it. And I was thinking about painting it over, but after I got my wax on it, I thought, it just adds to the rustic look, and I loved it. So I just left it like it was. And I just continued going over all the rest of my sign with my wax, just kind of going around the edges in the middle parts there. Then I took my wood glue here. I'm going over the back of my sign with that wood glue. And I am going to leave some areas without the wood glue so that I can add the hot glue for the immediate hold. And then once I had the wood glue all on there, I went on with my hot glue, and then I'm going to add it to the front of my sign. And then I decided that brown needed a little something more, so I took my little chip brush here and some white chalk paint, and I'm just going to go around and just kind of do some distressing on it with that white. After that, I took 7 of my tumbling tower blocks and I'm hot gluing them together. When I hot glue them together, I hold them in place for a few seconds just to make sure it really attaches. Then I wipe off any excess glue that comes out through those seams. I did make 2 of these strips. And then I took my wood glue here and I'm just putting it through most of my sign. And then I'm going to use hot glue again to attach the tumbling tower blocks to the bottom of that. I'm going to use the hot glue in the areas I did not use the wood glue. Just want to make sure you guys know that. If you mix them, it doesn't tend to work too well. So then I took my other strip and I just did the same thing as I did on the front, and I'm just going to connect those strips together. That way it will stand. After that, I took some of this red and tan twine from Dollar Tree. I made some finger bows. I'll show you here on I think the next one, how to make those in slow motion. And there it is. It cost me about $4 to make this. I absolutely love the way this came out. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. Why number 15. So I started off by painting all of those pots with my maize color. After they were dry, I took my ink color and I'm going to paint the rim of that pot. And as you see, I did tape it off a little bit there so that I could paint stripes on it. I also went with my ink chalk paint and I'm coloring the top part of each of those little ones. After that, I went ahead and painted in between the painter's tape there so that I would have 3 little stripes. Then I took the pot that didn't have the stripes, and I'm using my pencil to draw in a face. Now I am kind of cheating. I'm going off of some faces I saw on Pinterest, and I am just trying to go with that because you know me, I'm not that good of a drawer. Then I just highlighted everything with my black markers, and then I'm going to color it in with some of my paint markers. Now, if you guys have been with me for a while, you might remember I did something like this fall for Scarecrow, and I absolutely love that Scarecrow, you guys. Every time I saw it, it just made me so happy. So I thought, you know what? Why not make one into a bee? So that's why I did this one too. And I think I love this one just as much. So after I had everything colored in, I took my white paint marker and made a few dots in the eyes to just kind of bring it to life. Then I'm using my E6000 and a little bit of hot glue here, and I'm going to attach the face to the bottom part of the bee. Then I took the twine and I'm threading it through the little holes that are in there. And if you need to use tape on the end of your twine, that's always a good idea. I do that. And then I tied a knot on it, and then I just pulled it up to what length I wanted and trimmed it. And then I'm hot gluing these. These are the arms to the top by the head. And then I did the same thing with the legs, but I made the legs the rope or the twine a little longer. And then I hot glued them to the bottom part of that pot. Then I just added my floral foam inside, and I cut down some of these daisies, and I'm going to add them to the floral foam so they have flowers growing out of the head because, you know, bees have to have flowers, right? Then I remembered, oh my goodness, I got to make the wings. So I took a pin and I just made like a teardrop shape on that aluminum pan, and I cut out 2 wings, and I'm just trimming this up here. And then after that, I paint them with Waverly chalk paint in the color Maize, and then I'm going to use a little hot glue and glue them to the back. Be careful because that aluminum does get hot. And then there it is. Isn't that just the most adorable thing you've ever seen? I love this little bee. It is in my craft room. I look at it every day. I just love it. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. Okay, DIY number 16. So I am going to start off by taking some painter's tape, and I'm just trimming off the edge because I am a very messy painter. I know I've told you guys this a million times. You saw by my technique with that Mod Podge flinging it. That's about what happens with my paint. And then I painted the middle with that blue, and then once that was dry, I painted the edge with white. And so once it was all dry, I took some spackling here, and I'm filling in the holes of my little love bug. And then I am going to very, very carefully take this brush, and I'm trying to be really careful that I don't get yellow on the fenders. And I did a pretty good job. I think I had a few just teeny spots, but I went really slow. I have this really sped up. But I painted the whole car with my yellow. And then once I was done with that, you guys, this was really slow because, yeah. It is probably a good thing. I took my white and I painted the fenders, right? Yes, fenders. And once I had both fenders painted, I'm going to take that white and I'm going to paint the middle of the tires, that part that my thumb is holding right there. And I can't believe I showed you this much painting. Sorry, guys. I normally don't show you that much painting. Okay, and then here I'm doing the middle. So after those were dry, then I took my ink and I went around and painted the tires. And I'm just trying to be as careful as I can be, going as slow as I can to not get black. I got just a teeny few little spots that I ended up touching up. But I was pretty proud of myself because normally I don't do that good. If I don't tape things off, it's a mess. So after those were dry, I took these buttons and I'm just taking my wire cutters and I'm cutting that plastic piece off the back. And then I'm just using hot glue to attach them. I had them all laid out to how I wanted them. And I originally was going to paint daisies, but then I remembered I had just gotten these and I thought, oh, this would be perfect. So then I felt like it just needed a little something more. So I'm taking the back of a paintbrush and I'm just dipping it in my white and making just a few polka dots all around. Normally I go crazy with the polka dots, so I was trying to be really careful. Then I'm going to add this decal. Now, I know I already said crazy as a daisy, or happy as a daisy, and I know crazy is spelt wrong with the K, but my husband is a goofball and he's always saying crazy as a daisy, and he always says it with these crazy eyes. So I had to make it a little goofy, so that's why I did it this way. I love my husband. He makes me laugh. So I took these tumbling tower blocks. Now, when I got my recent boxes of tumbling tower blocks, some of them were natural color and some of them were that brown, which I thought was kind of cool. And I knew you wouldn't be able to see them, so I just went ahead and used those brown ones, and I'm just using some hot glue to attach my car to it because it didn't completely fit in that frame, but I just thought it would be perfect kind of standing out from it. Then I took some of these tumbling tower blocks and I'm hot gluing them together and I painted them white first and then I hot glued them together. Then I'm using my wood glue and my hot glue to attach this to the back of my sign so it will stand, but it didn't want to stand. It kept going forward. So I took a few more tumbling tower blocks, looks like maybe 5 of them, and added them to the back, and then it stood. I did end up painting that white afterwards. I took some of these daisies from Amazon, glued one on each corner, and then that was all. I love this. It is so much fun. I think it is so cute. I just love that little daisy bug. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well. Okay, DIY number 17. Okay, for our first project, I'm using one of those crates that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I am using Waverly chalk paint. I believe this was in the color Pool, no, Lagoon, I believe. It was either, yeah, I believe it's Lagoon. And I'm just painting the bottom of this crate all around the bottom and one of those slots on the top with that color. I saw a picture of this on Home Depot, and it is, they have 2 of them for sale for $32, and I, counting the paint and everything, maybe spent $2 on this crate. So I absolutely love the way it came out. They have 2 actually crates, and I was hoping to make another one, but I couldn't find my bigger crate. So here I just went in with some brown and I'm doing the second slat and the top as well. And I'm doing the same thing with the blue, is going all around. And now I'm using the plaster chalk paint. That's the color in Waverly chalk paint. And I'm doing the same thing. And that brown is called Truffle by Waverly. Once that was all dry, I took my Waverly Antique Wax and I'm just doing some distressing over the white and the brown, or I'm sorry, the blue, because it won't show up on the brown. And then once I get done doing that distressing, I'm going to also take my Folk Art white wax and I'm going to do the same thing over the brown and over the blue with that white, and I'm using a chip brush that I got from the Dollar Tree for that. And again, I cannot say how much I love this crate. I want to make some more because I just think it is so adorable. So I took this faux leather ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just measuring it here, and I'm going to cut out 2 pieces so that it will wrap around the sides, or the front and back and the top of that crate. I guess it's not the sides, it's the front and the back. And then once I get it cut out to the right size, I hot glue the end inside the crate. And then I'm just going to wrap it over to the other side and hot glue that piece in as well. And I did that for both sides. And then once I get those on, I am going to get some nautical rope that I got from the Dollar Tree, not nautical, sorry, jute rope. And I'm sorry it's not really in shot here, but I put a knot on the end of one end and I pushed the rest of it through that slat so that the knot would stop it. Then I'm taking the other end and I'm going through that little slot on the other side of it, other end of it, and I'm going down into that, but not all the way. I'm leaving a little loop, and then I'm going to bring that end up on the other slot across from it, and then I'm going to bring it down on the other end so that that makes another loop as well, and I don't pull it all the way through. And you'll see that here in just a second. You'll see what that looks like. It's going to look like two little handles. And then once I do that, I bring that piece of rope back through the beginning area that I brought in that rope through that slot. And I'm going to bring that in, or bring it up, and then I'm going to wrap those two handles with that rope. And I only got to wrap it 3 times because that piece of rope that I had wasn't super long. But once I get done wrapping it 3 times, then I'm going to take that end and I'm just going to push it back down through the little slot there. And then once I get that done, I will hot glue it to the inside of the crate. Now, I did this because I didn't know how to make a nautical rope like they show on the picture, but I think this looks just as cute, and I think it came out looking just fine. Okay, so once, here I am gluing it, hot gluing it down. And then once I'm done with that, I did have a bag of shells that I bought from the Dollar Tree for $1. And let me tell you guys, there are a lot of shells in that bag. I'm putting some hot glue on it, and I am going to glue that to the front of my little crate. And I did use some of that truffle paint to kind of paint over that shell a little bit because I wanted to give it kind of an older look. Then I mixed some of that truffle, and I mixed some orange, I think it's pumpkin, pumpkin Waverly chalk paint together to kind of make a rusty look. And then I'm just using that brush from Dollar Tree, and I'm just dry brushing that all over because I really wanted it to have an old rusty look, like it's been in the bottom of the ocean for a while. And again, I can't say it enough. I absolutely love how this came out. It is just so adorable. And I did actually get some of that onto the leather, and I tried to wipe it off, but it actually, if you put it on the leather, it makes it have a more worn look as well, and I really liked it. Why number 18. So I took some of that craft rope or craft cord, and I cut down 9 pieces that were about 32 inches long. And you're just going to put them in sets of 3 and tape them at the top like I did with some painter's tape. And you're just going to start braiding them. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but I put rubber bands on the end of my cords there. It's just to kind of help it not get so tangled up. But you're just going to braid it all the way down to the end of that cord. And I got that cord I actually ordered it on Amazon because Hobby Lobby has it, but they didn't have the navy. So you can either get it there, or you can use rope, or you can use yarn, you can use whatever you want. And then at the end, I put a rubber band at the end to keep it together, and then I'm just putting some hot glue and squishing it in between to kind of keep it sealed. Now this stuff is fusible, and I could have probably used my lighter to fuse them all together, but it was late at night when I was doing this, and I just wanted to get it done quicker. So then I'm just going to take that end and I'm going to hot glue it. And I know you can see the hot glue all around it, but that's okay because we're going to cover it up once we go around this wreath form that I actually got at the Dollar Tree. So I'm just hot gluing it to all of those vertical lines that are on the wreath form. And I just go around and hot glue it all the way around. I think I loop it around twice, and then I just take that last bit and glue it to the back, and there it is. And I just love that braid because it just looks so nautical to me. So I took this sign that I got from the Dollar Tree and I cut out the anchor, and I'm just painting the back side. Now, after I painted it and got it all done, I looked at it and thought it kind of looks weird because on the back side it has that little leg from the rope on the picture on the front, so it looked kind of weird, but that's okay. So I cut the middle part out, and I'm just going to wrap some twine around it. And then I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to wrap some more twine all around the sides, all around the whole anchor. And once I got done with that, I was like, oh, it still looks kind of funny. I'm not sure I like it. And that's where I decided to use some of the seashells to help cover up, especially that one little area that makes it look kind of funky. Although I could have probably cut it out. So that's an idea too. If you try to do something like this, you could cut out that one piece. So once the twine was all on there, I hot glued it to the back, and then I'm just wrapping it around just to kind of make it look like a rope wrapped around an anchor. But you're not really going to see much of that because I cover it up with a starfish and with seashells. Then I got this button. It was a package of buttons that I found at Hobby Lobby on clearance for 99 cents, and I used that for the middle, and then just put on some seashells and that starfish, and you'll see the end. Or I guess I'm not done with it. I took this sign from Michael's. It was 99 cents, and I used that little pokey thing to get the tops off of that middle part, and then I used my pliers there, needle nose pliers, to squish it, the little, I don't know what you call it, a little thing that was holding that clippy in place. I got it all off, and then I painted it with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster. Once it was all painted, I used the antique wax to go in and distress it, so it gives it a little more older, weathered look. And then once I was done with that, I took this vinyl that I printed off of my Cricut, and I'm just going to get it onto the board, and we have a cute little sign, and I really love what it says. And then I'm just going to take some twine, wrap it around my hand about 10 times, I think, cut it, and then I'm just going to take those ends and wrap it around the middle of it and tie a knot and make it into a bow. Now I put it right there, and it kind of covered up my letters, so if you do something like this, make sure you kind of move it up a little closer. Then I just put some hot glue on the back of that sign. Add that to the front of my wreath, and look how beautiful this came out. I love it. That braided cord is just beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this one as well. Let me know in the comment box below. Okay, DIY number 19. And I'm just lining up the wall decal with that sign and measuring where I want to cut it, and then I just trim off the excess there. And then I pull off the back so that you have the sticky part there, and it is got like 2 layers, so I just put some hot glue there to keep it closed, and then add a little more hot glue and just added that to the back of that sign. And then I took that extra piece, and I am just marking where I want to cut, and I'm going to trim off 4 pieces to fit all along the top part there. And then I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the big piece as far as hot gluing in the middle and on the outside, and then sticking those on the top. And then once I was done, I just trimmed off any excess that I had. And then I took that little picture and trimmed it down a little bit because I wanted it to show some of that brick on the back of on the front of that picture. And then I took my antique wax, and I am just doing some dry brushing all around it. And then I take these flat dowels that I got from Amazon. I'll put a link to them in my description box. And I'm just measuring them out to the size that I want right now. And then I'm going to use my antique wax as well once I get them all trimmed down. And I'm going to wax them with the wax. And I'm going to put a link to this glue gun that I'm using in my description box below. And I think I'm going to have a 10% discount code on there for you as well if you want to get it. And it's a great great hot glue gun. I really do like it. I'm really impressed with it. And then once I was done with that, I went ahead and glued around the sign, and then I'm going to stick those flat dowels all the way around the sign to frame it. And once I was done with that, I grabbed this ribbon that I got at Michael's around Easter time, and I think I measured this to be about 12 inches long. And then I took this stars ribbon that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I think that was 10 inches, and then I'm making the legs, I believe, were 8 inches. So I just cut out the plaid and the stars for the legs of the bow. And then once I have that done, I take the bigger plaid ribbon and I hot glue the ends together, and then I take the bigger star ribbon and I hot glue those ends together. And then once I was done with that, I just put those together and pinch in the middle of the bigger ribbon. And then I'm going to use a twisty tie to tie it together. And I only twist it a couple of times because I'm going to fold in this ribbon and put the other ribbon on top. And then I'm going to attach that to the back of the bow with the rest of that twisty tie. And then once I'm done with that, I just turn it around and I fluff up the bow and fluff up the tails. And then I do trim the tails, or as far as I should say, I dovetail those tails. Then when I was done with that, I take a wooden star that I got from, I think, Walmart, and I paint it with that crimson red. And then, oh, here's where I dovetail the ribbons, the legs. And then once I get done with that, I just put a little hot glue on it and put that star right in the middle of that bow. And then I take some of this new ribbon that they got at the Dollar Tree. It's ribbon trim, some kind of trim. And it's like a burlap ribbon. It's really cool. I really like it. And I am just going to go all the way around that picture with it. And I think it just gave it that extra pop. I absolutely love this picture. When I was showing my husband, my eyes were tearing up because I just thought it was so pretty. So I took some more of that trim and I'm just hot gluing it to the back so we have a hanger. And then I'm going to use that paper bag to cover up that back part of the picture and then trim off the paper bag, and this project is done as well. DIY number 20. So I'm going to start off by painting the wood rounds with my white and then the beads with my yellow. And this is how I painted the beads. I got my painter's tape and I just laid it out and placed my beads on top of it. I find for me, this is the easiest way to paint beads because they stick to the tape, and then when you're done, you just pull it off and turn it over and put it back on the tape, and then you paint. The beads don't move, it stays in place. And for me, like I said, I have tried other ways, but for me, this one is my favorite and easiest way. So once I had it all painted front and back, and then I even painted the little silver clasp there, just try to kind of camouflage it a little bit. I set it aside to dry, and then I took my Mod Podge and I'm just putting this on one of my wood rounds, and I set it aside to dry. Then I took this napkin that I'm going to use and I'm just kind of trimming it down, and I just go all the way around it, leaving a little extra on the edges there. Then once that wood round with the Mod Podge was dry, I laid my napkin down, placed some regular parchment paper that you'd use in your kitchen, and I took my heat press and I am just reactivating that Mod Podge so that the napkin will stick to my wood round. And you can do this with an iron if you don't have a heat press, but the iron needs to not have any steam. So after that, I had a little bit of a area that didn't adhere, so I just added my parchment paper and went over to give with my heat press, and it worked just fine. Then I took my dishwasher safe Mod Podge and I'm going over the top of this because I think this is going to be in my kitchen. It just looks kitcheny to me. And I wanted to have that dishwasher safe in case any water gets on it. Then I am going to take my wood glue here and a brush, and I'm just going all the way around one of the rounds there with that wood glue, and then I'm going to lay my beads right on top. Now the beads are just a little, they're both 10 by 10. The beads says it's 10 by 10 and the wood round says it's 10 by 10, but I still had to kind of play with it to get it on there. And then I'm taking some of these clips from Dollar Tree and I'm just holding it down in place so that it gives the so it's on there so that the glue can set. And I set it aside for a little bit. Then I took my finger sander here and I'm just sanding off all that extra napkin. Then I'm taking my other wood round and I'm just doing the same thing I did. I'm going around it with the wood glue and then I'm sticking it on top of my beads. And then I held it down, and while my husband went and got some thicker clamps to hold it down, and I held it down for like an hour or two. Dowel caps from Hobby Lobby, painted them with Waverly chalk paint in the color Maize. Then I took my wood glue once they were dry, and I'm just going to add them around the bottom of my dowel caps, and then add them to the bottom of my tray. Let it sit for a while so that cures, and then look how beautiful this riser is. I absolutely love it. This is the end of the video. I will be back again on the 1st for the first of the month challenge. So with all that being said, I hope you guys have a blessed week, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.